This is Jerome McQueen of Academics, the national movement to encourage our young people to choose STEM as career aspiration.
I had a really great biology teacher. She was like nationally recognized. She got to meet President Obama.
So this year I'm working with 3D printing, actually being able to use my skills from A&T to design things on the computer and actually see them become a physical part.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am the co-host of World Community Magazine, April Garner, and as you can see, I'm the only one on the screen tonight. Unfortunately, our host, Brother Edward McQueen, is feeling a little under the weather, so we want to extend all of our prayers and well wishes to him. Hopefully, he'll be feeling much better next Tuesday and will join us here at 7 p.m. for next week's show. But nonetheless, we are charged with doing what we typically do every single week, which is bringing great information to our community. And if he's watching, I know he's going to like what I'm about to say. This information is free 99, okay? And that means that we want to educate the community as much as possible about things that are issues in our community, concerns in our community, but also that are empowering and uplifting in our community. And so that's why we're here every single week at 7 p.m. on World Community Magazine. You can check us out at www.wcmagazine.net. View the magazine there. The actual full issue of the October magazine has been posted to that website, and you can watch the broadcast from that website as well. Make sure you share this across Facebook and YouTube. Let everybody know that we're here every Tuesday night with wonderful community information that really can be used by just about anybody, but it's great that it's coming from and by the African American community. And so tonight's guests are very special in the form of persons who are charged with being great stewards of education, and they are here to talk about an alternative method of education that a lot of people may have heard of, but they don't know a lot about. And so I have with me tonight some very special guests, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves to you before we get into the heart of our discussion. Tonight's guests are Lydia Anderson and Latoya Vereen. Thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So we have Miss Lydia and Miss Latanya from Prestige Montessori Method Academy. And I tell you what, we were having a nice little backstage conversation about this learning concept. And we talked about a lot of things that are associated with what people know and don't know about a Montessori school. So, of course, tonight we have two very special people. Miss Lydia is the owner and chief executive officer of Prestige Montessori Method Academy. And Miss Latanya, to my understanding, she's the staffing and compliance director. So she makes sure that everything is running smoothly, that the academy is well staffed, and that everything is well and in order for the children that they are teaching. And so we're going to talk tonight about the benefits of Montessori method teaching or learning. And also we're going to talk about what, a Montessori school is or is not. I know that there are a lot of thoughts and perceptions about what Montessori learning is all about, and even who it's available to, or who's able to access it. And so we're going to talk about all of that tonight. But before we get started, our special guests, Lydia Anderson and Latanya Vereen, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I was looking at the comments and I see you already have a couple of fans even before we started the show tonight. Miss Brenda Murphy and Paul Anderson, thank you so much for watching. Yes, so let's get into it. So we'll start with Miss Lydia. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And she enlightened me on something that I did not know. And I, of course, am from Horry County, born and raised in Conway. But I'm going to let her share it. I'm not going to reveal it just yet. But Miss Lydia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Lydia Anderson. I'm originally from Bucksport. I lived in Myrtle Beach for many, many years and raised my children. And they went to Myrtle Beach High School. And I decided to open a Montessori school there. 17 years ago, I decided I had to walk away from it because of my husband's health. And I needed to just breathe. So I moved to Virginia. And this year, I said, you know what? I need to come back and complete that task that I didn't finish. So I came back here to Conway to offer children the same thing I offered them in Myrtle Beach. And it's so important that everyone get the same education with Montessori. It's not like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna take away from it. I'm gonna give you the whole 9 yards of Montessori.
Mm-hmm. And so, Ms. Lydia, when we were talking earlier, I mentioned that, in Horry County, Georgetown County, there are only 2 Montessori schools that I was aware of. And one was in Myrtle Beach and the other, I think, down in the Pawleys Island area. And you said, yeah, I actually own that one. And, what's fascinating to me and intriguing about having you all on the show tonight is that, first of all, I was absolutely impressed that it's a school that is Black owned and operated. And the other part of it is that because it is a concept that, really is only talked about in certain circles, a lot of people don't really understand what a Montessori school is all about and what it delivers in the form of education. And so whenever you told me that you owned the one in Myrtle Beach, and of course now the new one in Conway located on Racepath, I was like, wow, I didn't know that, and have lived here all my life and knew that there was one on Oak Street. And now I'm talking to the actual former owner and the new owner, of course, of the new school. And so, one of the things that I really wanted to get into tonight is just all about that entire concept and what Montessori education is really all about. So, which one of you? Yeah. Okay. So, Latanya, would you like to get into that for us?
Okay, sure. And I've got some talking points here. So if you see me looking down, I am cheating a little bit. But I just want to make sure that I verbalize it correctly. But Montessori, it's more of a method. It's not a curriculum or, it's more of a certain way of children learning. So it's all centered around self-directed activity. Children come into the room, they would have already been presented a lesson on certain areas of the room. The environment is going to be very well prepared for whatever the concept we would like for them to learn at that time. But it's going to be all about hands-on learning and collaborative play with their peers within the classroom. One thing that you'll see different in a Montessori classroom, they call each classroom something a little bit different. Maria Montessori, she was a physician who transferred to an educator, and she did most of her studies in Rome. So you have the younger age groups, which are still considered Montessori as well. At our school, we're going to be starting at 12 months. So we'll have one room that's for 12 months to 24 months. That's going to be our toddler 1. Toddler 2 is for 24 months to 3. And then one big distinction with a Montessori school is the mixed age group for our primary level, which will be 3 to 6-year-olds within one room. So that's where you're going to see a big part of that collaboration, because you may have a 5 to 6-year-old who is on their 3rd cycle within that classroom, who will be also guiding the younger ones who may just be starting the Montessori cycle within that primary classroom. So the children, they have choices in what they're going to do for the day. Each station will be set up. There's typically 5 learning stations within the Montessori classroom. And fill me in if I miss one, but you've got your math area, you've got sensorial. That's where they're using their 5 senses to explore everything from language arts, also with math and science and social studies. You've got your cultural studies area, where they learn about the world around them, which also may include science as well. And you've got practical life is a big thing. You've got a lot of children growing who aren't very capable of doing things on their own. And so in Montessori, it's very important to teach them those practical life skills. And they learn things such as independence, hanging up their own jackets, putting their things away, putting their chairs in. Some parents, if they're not familiar with the Montessori approach, they may get a little freaked out at first seeing there's glass bowls. Using Lydia has some examples here, but we give them real things. They're not using plastic play toys. You're not going to walk in the classroom and see a lot of cartoon characters and lots of bright colors, because children need to be practical. I'm coming I have 20 plus years of experience in early childhood, but the past 6 years I've been with a high school. And so there are a lot of practical skills that students are lacking when they get to that level. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to be going back to the beginning and incorporate that, those practical skills that's going to help them as they grow. That gets them ready for college and career. And so it's important that we start now. So practical life is a very big part of that. And then which one did I skip?
You did skip it. Okay. But I'm going to piggyback on one of her things that she mentioned was practical life. That is very, very important. The first month, I will be teaching in the classroom the first month. And the reason why, because I want to make sure it's ran the way Maria Montessori said it should be done. So the first month, the children doesn't touch any of the materials in the classroom. I'm guiding them and telling them, this is how you carry a chair. This is how you will shake my hand when I enter the room in the morning time, or when they enter the room in the morning time. Well, COVID is out, so we have to wear gloves to do that, but we'll do that because they need that. If there is, say for instance, a child had a disagreement, we have the peace table. I don't go out putting out fires. That's not my job. My job is to make sure you're safe. I want to make sure that you go and you work between you and your friend, not me, you, and your friend. When I see it's getting out of hand, then I will step in. But we need to give children more of a chance, as opposed to you always being there saying, hey, Johnny, stop. I don't get to talk like that. I watch because I follow the child. So practical life teaches the children the first month everything they need to do to go to the other sensoria, math, culture. That's how you get to those other areas.
So, as I'm listening, and the fascinating part is the incorporation of the practical life skills, because as you said, it's evident that when they reach high school, they may or may not have those skills, but I've seen it even in the higher ed setting, where things that seem practical and commonsensical are not always practical and rooted in common sense. And all of that comes from, just that lack of teaching, whether it was at home or the things that were not introduced to students in, the secondary education channels. And, as you're talking about this method in my mind, I'm like, I wonder why, these types of things aren't incorporated into the public school system. Do you think it's more of just that focus on standardized testing and curriculums and things of that nature, and the public system being structured in that manner? And I mean, why not incorporate this type of learning for all students?
It is most certainly directed towards just the school system. I'm not saying the school system is lacking in that, but teachers have so many other tasks that they have to check off, and children have so many other check boxes that they have to reach to where those practical skills are not incorporated. So children a lot of times spend more time in school than they do at home. By the time they leave school, they may go home with their families. There's no telling who's there providing care for them after those school hours, but more than likely they're busy also and don't have the time to teach them those skills. So I'm not going to just outright say the school system is lacking in all of that. I think just the focus isn't on it. And I do believe that if there was an opportunity for that focus to be there, then we would see a difference. But another big part of our program is we want to reach out into the community as well and, help our parents to learn what they could be doing at home to help the children in these areas. And we believe that if it starts there, then it will continue to flow through. So not just with our parents, we want to open up to the community at large, to help people, because it's just one small drop, causes a ripple effect. And so we want to start there.
And so, I'm glad that you all have that mindset, to move towards community outreach as well, because you're right. Time is one of those commodities that is just so hard to not only keep, but to harness and use it for the things we need to use it for. We always say we don't have enough time in the day. And a lot of times with the way society is set up, there are instances where parents aren't even home with their children sometimes. And so, there's that gap and that void in learning as well. I know when I was coming up, through the Horry County school system, we used to have home ec and different types of classes that aren't even really offered anymore in schools. And so there is a big void. There's a big gap. And what people don't understand is that when it comes down to the ability to thrive and be a successful, rounded individual, there are a lot of things that are rooted in the types of things that you all teach in the Montessori environment, but also, all of that plays into the interpersonal skill sets and the ability to establish relationships and things of that nature. Not only establish them, but maintain them. But from a domestic standpoint, just, being able to even thrive and just take care of yourself, knowing, how to move and not to move in society. And so it sounds like the Montessori concept really does start with that early learning and early development, putting children on a path to understanding those, values and behaviors that will help them to thrive, when they are adults. And so as you think about what you've seen in terms of success with your students, Ms. Lydia, describe for us what that looks like in a student who goes through Montessori and has that extra or supplemental type of learning before they actually enter a public school setting or, even post-secondary setting. Do you have any
My daughter.
Story? Yes.
of what she learned when she was 3 years old when she started. She went through the cycle. She actually went to sixth till she got in sixth grade. Okay, she went through the cycle. She's very independent. She concentrates very well. Um, she not orderly as I would like her to be, but you can tell that child went to Montessori school because I can ask her a question and she's critical thinking, what should I say on this, on this? So there's so much you can give a child through Montessori. And I was able to give Kelly that whole piece. And there's a lot of moving pieces in Montessori, but I was able to give her that till she got in sixth grade. When she got into high school, people would ask me, did she go to Montessori? And I was like, I would never say yes or no. I want to know why they asked me that. They say because she is very independent. She always said, I can do this. Let me try this. And one of the things I've always done since I've been in Montessori, and Tanya laughed at me, I never tell a child, oh, good boy, Johnny. That doesn't happen. And the reason why, I need Johnny to tell me how he feels about himself, not me tell Johnny how I feel. So all those pieces there is going to help Johnny when he grows up. It helped Kelly. Kelly is very confident, and Montessori build that as well. If you go around every day telling someone, hey, you're doing a fantastic job, one day I'm going to tell them that and they may not do that job. So you got to be able to let them express their feelings and how they can be independent, how they can concentrate, how they're going to go out in the real world and be successful. And my daughter's one of those children that was successful in life. And I think it's all something to do with Montessori, how she was raised. Because we allow her to make choices as opposed to saying, stop, stop, stop. I never use the word stop. I may say, hey, can you show me what you're doing? But I'm never going to tell you stop. That's not a good word to use. That's a negative word. So we never did it to her.
Okay.
Answer your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. And again, to me, all of this method of learning is definitely rooted in, trying to nurture self and the concepts of choices, but also how those choices impact their surroundings and their ability to move forward. And the hands-on approach that is described on your website and that you've described on in terms of the self-learning, it's really interesting how that particular approach is used in for example, two-year colleges is a two-year college is really rooted in the hands-on knowledge that you need to receive early and often so that you can enter the workforce in a quicker or faster way. So, you have students who are actually coming in and they may, spend the first semester in more general practical courses. But after that first semester or so, they are getting into the hands-on learning and understanding how, processes happen, how the workflow, the technical part of their job or their careers actually occurs. And so it's really interesting to me because it almost sounds like, this is a concept that really needs to be the universal approach to education for all students. But, what we also talked about backstage before this started is that, a lot of families don't even know that this type of thing exists. They've heard the word Montessori before, and it's, and I talked to you about that perception of it being tied to the elite and people who were, at a certain level in society who could, send their children to private academies or private schools or, places like this. But, my understanding is that your concept is different. You know, you're coming from a place of wanting to make sure that all children have an equal chance to have the Montessori experience. And that's a wonderful thing, you know. How do you
Yes.
plan to deliver that?
Whenever I'm selecting children, I would not be selecting on what your parents can do or what your parents is doing, whether your parents are a doctor, a lawyer. I don't care, if your parents drive the garbage truck. If I see where you are fit for you, for me and you, then I'm gonna select you. I'm not gonna select you on the basis of your parents making $100,000, $200,000 a year. I'm selecting you because I feel as though that you will make it in Montessori. And a lot of times, people especially today's society, people are hooked on things.
Mm.
I'm not hooked on things. Trust me, I love things. I love nice things, but my whole goal here is in Conway, Horry County. I want every child to say, you know what, I can do this too. I went to Montessori school, no matter what background you came from. That's not important to me. What's important to me is that you can be taught just like if your father was a doctor. And I would extend my hands and my welcome to every child that walked through that door.
Mm-hmm.
Not because what their parents can do or what their siblings are doing. I'm not gonna go down that road.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When Lydia first approached me, I guess we didn't give a little background. I worked for Lydia back in 1993. I was pretty young and just entering the world, and she gave me the opportunity to come in and teach for her at her previous school. And then I moved to Atlanta after that, and so we're really excited about reconnecting. But she didn't purposely seek out to have the Montessori school in this area in particular. But then when she approached me after coming back, saying, I'm reopening a school and I'd like for you to come alongside me, I caught her vision very quickly, and I started seeing the opportunities that were there to present this method to a different demographic than anyone who would typically, a lot of parents just don't know what's available to them. I came from a charter high school. A lot of parents didn't know that that was an option to their children. Once some people did find out about it, they assumed it was an alternative school. And I would say it's not an alternative school, it's an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Montessori school is an alternative that will give children a better opportunity. I've done a lot of research on just statistics of Montessori. And apparently South Carolina has more Montessori schools than any other state. But in Horry County, as you know, we're the second one. The other Montessori school, it appears to be in a more affluent area.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm loving the fact that we have the opportunity to bring that here, and not that that's going to be our target audience, because I would love to see a diverse mix, income levels, different races here. I want to see everybody come together because that also, broaches another subject of just children learning to get along with people who are different from as well. So I'm loving the opportunities that we have to bring Montessori to this area. I know there's some people who's willing to drive from other areas just to bring their children into this setting because they want to expose them to a variety of demographics and different people.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think diversity is key because, we used to hear the term that, America in particular, it was or is a big melting pot. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing because I think that melting pot is starting to look is starting to blend in a way where it's, kind of hard to really understand what is a part of the mix. And yet we still have unique qualities about ourselves that are either culturally based or, rooted in traditions that are now starting to kind of meld. And when you think about the different cultures and ethnicities that are coming together, and, that I'm kind of leaning into a whole nother subject that could be politically charged, and I won't go there. But the fact that the idea of bringing people from diverse backgrounds together in a way that is considered a bit non-traditional and unorthodox for what we typically will see in education. It's definitely, to me, it's an innovative way to make sure that as we are accepting different types of people into our areas, the children are learning how to coexist and also to relate to people who are unlike themselves, and it does start with that self-awareness that I believe Montessori appears to give them, just a sense of self and that independence, and a part of that that learning that they don't always receive in other places. So let's talk a little bit about your environment, the learning environment. About how many students or pupils, or what do you call them? Students, pupils, children? What for your
we call them students or children.
students? Okay. How many students do you have in your environment, or do you plan to? What is your capacity have in your environment at one time?
Well, we're looking at closely to 100 to have in our environment.
Okay. All right. And then you were talking about earlier the fact that you have the toddler 1 and 2, the primary, up to 6 years of age. And then after 6 years old, where do these children go next? What is their next step? Where do they matriculate to?
They go to kindergarten, they go to first grade, and they're successful because they know how to handle themselves. And a lot of people ask the question, well, will my child be able to function in a classroom setting that is a Montessori? Yes, your child will be. Now, your child may be a little bit more advanced because of the fact that we're teaching differently, but it's not the child was not going to be like, oh, I can't sit down. Yes, in the Montessori classroom, you do a lot of walking around and you select the work, but it does not mean that you cannot go to a regular school and be able to fit in. So you'll have this, they may be, I would say they're gonna be on the top a little bit.
Okay.
I don't want to push stuff out there, but I'll use this example. Like this globe, a 3-year-old, because I've been teaching so long, can tell me what continent is on this globe. Okay, and it's all through feeling. I'll give a lesson in the morning time, and I'll tell them, this is North America. I give it to my morning meetings, and I'll go back and repeat it, and then they'll get to hold this globe. Yeah, this globe costs a lot of money, but it doesn't matter to me. I will be able to get another globe. I'm not gonna put money on if it's on this globe. Okay, so they get to learn a lot. And so when they get into regular school, geography, well, we call it geography here, culture. I don't know what they call it in the public school. What they call it in the public school?
Geography,
social studies, whatever. They'll be above. The average kindergarten cannot tell you the 7 continents. I test a couple of them. It was not able to do that because they're learning something different. That doesn't mean they're not smart. That does not mean that. It just means that they're working on a different area. But I'm gonna cover all the areas in my classroom. Whether it be math, whatever. I'm gonna cover I use this for example. This is a math apparatus. It's called the sandpaper numbers. You say, well, how would a child learn from this? By feeling that sandpaper. They go up, they go around. And I would give a lesson on the morning meeting about these numbers. And then the child will come in and say, you know what, Miss Anderson, they won't even ask me. They pick their work. I would say, you select your work for the day, and I move away from that. Well, I give a miniature lesson to someone else. And then it's how I work.
So, and that's where the partnership with parents come in as well. We want the parents to be educated as to what their options are when they leave here, not thinking that, again, nothing against Horry County schools, but
Right.
that's the only option for you. Some people feel they can't homeschool. I homeschooled all three of my children for several years, and we're never of a high income. Two incomes were needed, but we made it a way. That was our priority, was to educate our children pretty much in the Montessori way. There are charter schools available. There is a charter Montessori school outside of the preschool Montessori. There's a charter school, free tuition. A lot of people think that you have to pay for a charter school. So that's an option. But then if a traditional public school is an option, we want to help parents and give them the tools necessary to be a partner in their child's education and let them know that they have a choice, they have a right, they have, options when it comes to their children's education, even within the traditional public school. So we want to help parents know what their abilities are when their children leave from here and continue. Even when the child leaves our environment, I want parents to know they can still come back and ask questions, if they need guidance on what to do in whichever school environment that they do choose to put their child in. So there are options. And like Lydia said, a lot of the times the children are going to be a little bit more knowledgeable. There have been studies that shows that children that come from the Montessori schools seem to excel a little bit better when they enter into a traditional school setting. So we just want to make sure that they know what their options are. There are options there, and help them to navigate and find out what's going to be the best fit for their family and be able to help them with whatever decision they make.
Well, I tell you, it's a very fascinating concept. Everybody wants to know that they have options, and they also want to feel as parents that they are able to provide their children with the best possible options available, and I believe that, if a student's ability to thrive in a setting where they are learning these things that are outside of standard curriculum and that are more rooted in the interpersonal and the practical and even, domestic in a way, they're going to take that learning home and actually, right, and transfer those skills and the knowledge they have into home life as well. And so it just sounds like it's a win-win situation. And I'm even more encouraged for parents to know that there are resources available if they are interested in this Montessori option. We're here to educate them on what this method is all about and also what's available. And so if someone wants to, and I kind of flashed the website on the screen. Of course, the website is in development, but I'm sure they'll be adding more information soon about how you can be in touch with them. But if someone wants to get in touch with you just to have that conversation to see if this is a good fit for them, how can they get in touch with you? How can they contact you?
The phone number is on the website, so you can call. We aren't officially open yet, so we do have limited hours in the daytime, but leave a message and get back to you as soon as possible. Or you can send an email to contact@prestige-mma.org. If you go to our website, all that information is there as well. But there is another portion on the website. I'm trying to see, can you scroll down a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Where we have an interest form available. So there's a link right there where it says now enrolling.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yes. So
pull that up. There we go. Okay.
Yes. So if you'd like to reserve a spot for your child, you can fill that out, and then we'll be in touch with you. As Lydia mentioned earlier, we will be doing an intake interview with all of our students. And again, this isn't to see, what you have, if you can afford it or whatever, just to see if your child might be ready for the environment. But we do have the toddler programs, which will also help get your child available. So, but we want to be partners. Again, I know I use that word a lot, but partnership is where it's all at. And so during the intake interview, we'll get you scheduled to come in. We'll spend some time getting to know the child, getting to know about your family, because that's going to help us with, helping to develop your child as well. And we'll work together to make sure, your child's going to be successful here at Prestige. So if you follow that link, then we'll get back in touch with you and schedule a time for you to come in. We are hoping to just reserve those appointment slots for those who are in the process of enrolling. But hopefully soon we'll be able to do a tour. We'll have an open house and a tour date available. There's just so many legal requirements that go into opening a daycare. So we're just a little bit set back waiting for those things to take place. But we're getting very close.
Yeah, we're very close.
Yes, and we're very appreciative of everyone who's patiently standing by and waiting for us to say we're ready to go. So that would be the first step, is just to give us a call, or if you have questions, we're here to chat. We're both very laid back and open, and we don't want to, the name is Prestige, but we don't want to give off prestigiousness in our approach. We're very laid back. We have children of our own. We're involved in the community. So many people loved in this community, and just excited to be a part of it again. So just reach out to us and we'll answer any questions that you have, and just be very open and honest. We're not here just to tell you what you want to hear. We'll tell you what you need to hear.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having both of you on the show tonight. And I know I can say on behalf of Brother Edward McQueen that this is certainly an excellent addition to the community, the Racepath community, and I know it'll be an asset in our community. And if I were a parent with a child, within those age ranges, I definitely would consider, the Learning Academy concept that you all have for my child, because of, just the way, like I said, society is set up now. It does, I can see, Miss Lydia, give children an edge when they can have this. It's just like being in a STEM program. Whenever you are trying to learn more about how science, math, and everything else works in the world, there isn't too much in the world you can do without STEM. And, with everything that you're learning through a Montessori learning concept, all of the things that you bring to the table as far as those methods that you're delivering to the children, there isn't too much that they'll be able to do in life without knowing some of those fundamental concepts that you all are presenting to them and providing in the form of education. So thank you so much for being here this evening. And it was certainly a pleasure to meet both of you, even though it's through a live stream. I'm sure I'll see you all in person at some point. And I just want to say hello this evening to Jan Keith. Thank you for watching. How are you? I haven't seen you in so long. I'll reach out to you real soon. Dorothy McCrae, thank you for watching. And of course, Paul Anderson and Brenda Murphy, we appreciate you watching this evening as well. And I know that there are others who are watching who are just probably all taking it in. But thank you so much for tuning in. And we certainly do appreciate your support. Next week, we actually will have a little discussion about student loan debt and the student debt relief program that the Biden administration has rolled out. We have a special guest who's going to talk to us about some things that are tied to this, things you need to know. Some of you may know, yesterday was the deadline to apply for public service loan forgiveness under the waiver that was actually implemented through COVID. And then also now is the time, if you haven't already applied for the student debt relief, even though it's been held up by a federal judge, you still need to apply so that, once this thing makes its way through the courts, the administration will be able to go ahead and do what they're going to do in the form of the relief that they have promised millions of Americans who are facing student loan debt. And so we're going to have someone here who's going to have a little conversation about that next week. I know a lot of you will want to tune in. I certainly have my questions. And I just want to, again, thank our special guest for being here tonight. Brother Edward, we hope you're feeling better real soon. And to all of our viewers, please, please, please remain vigilant. And we're now in flu season. And so we're not out of COVID yet. COVID is still very much a thing. So when these two storms collide, it's not a pretty sight. And so just make sure you, maintain good health, be as vigilant as possible about masking in large groups and, in tight places, especially through cold season. Now it's getting colder. and people tend to be more sick because of this type of weather change. And so we just want to thank all of you again. And of course, we'll see you next week, same time, same channel. Again, thank you for your support and have a good night.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner.